Hey everyone, welcome to the Piney Podcast. My name is Tony D, and today we're going to talk about what else? South Jersey, all things South Jersey. There's something in the news which I can't directly talk about without YouTube uh, knocking me down, so I'll try to talk around it. But you know about this disease that's hitting everywhere. In South Jersey, we were spared the initial brunt, but things are finally starting to happen. Burlington County, I think they're up to 15 cases. They just had their first case in Cape May County. Somebody came down from New York City, and they had a case. I hope to God he didn't spread it around before he came down here or while he came down here. I hope he went straight into a hospital, or I hope he self-quarantined, but what are the chances of that? We've had a few cases in my county. Guy in Cherry Hill was one of the first ones in New Jersey, and a few others. It's going to keep exploding. The good thing about living in the Piney Barrens or the Piney Barrens area is it's a lot more sparsely populated than places up north. A lot of people don't know that. If you're not from the Pines, you probably think New Jersey's all one big highway with exits and buildings. But the further south you go, the more rural it gets. And, if you go down the Garden State Parkway, which kind of runs along the coast, sort of, can't see the coast from the road, really. But, once you get down towards the Jersey Shore, things start to, you get past Tom's River as you're coming south, things start to get more sparsely populated. And so that is a positive in terms of the people in the Piney Barrens. We can, once they close the schools here and other areas, we didn't have contact with a lot of people to begin with. So the chances of the virus spreading quickly in this region is a lot lower. Unfortunately, what that also means is people down here tend to ignore the advice because it's like, well, I haven't really had a lot of contact. So I know a lot of people I know anyway, still not totally convinced, kind of convinced, but not totally convinced. They've been watching the news and they're basically staying home. But there is an optimism bias in this, in that people don't believe it'll happen today. So you got to try to stay home as much as possible, even in a place like South Jersey. And, it will hopefully run its course a lot quicker here in terms of, let's say we only have a few hundred cases down this way. After a couple of weeks, those people hopefully will be cured and go home. And then, it'll start clearing up in the rest of the country as well. And we won't have an incident where, like, someone comes down to New York and from New York to escape New York and then spreads the disease. I understand the impulse of getting out of the city. I certainly would have been looking to do that, and if I had the money, I'd have gotten right out of the New York area. Early on when this was just brewing, I would have gotten out at a time when people were going, "Where are you going? Why are you leaving for 4 months?" I'd have been like, "I'm getting the hell out of here." I wish I had that kind of money in place, but I'm sort of in the middle. I'm not in a super densely populated area, but I'm not in New York, but I'm not in the woods. I got a backyard. It seems that it is important to get a little sun. That apparently helps build people's resistance a little bit. So Pineys, you probably have backyards where you can, go outside and not have to interact with anyone. I advise you to do that. Again, keep your distance from people. But odds are, if you live in the Pines, you live out in the middle of the woods, so that's not really an issue unless you walk really, really far. Also, one of the things I would like to encourage people to do at this time, it is basically spring, and it's time to start thinking about planting a garden. I think planting a garden right now is going to be key to survival in the future. If things get really tough, and it may get tough for quite a few months, you may thank yourself later for growing a garden. So you can get online, you can order the seeds. There's tons of places that order the seeds. If you can't get a hold of seeds for whatever reason, I don't know why you wouldn't be able to, then you could always take some of the vegetables that you currently have left, take the seeds out of them and plant those. You know, you don't want to plant, I don't think you want to plant anything outside just yet, despite the warm weather down here. I think the only thing that is being planted outside are peas. I believe it's pea season, time to plant them, or maybe it was like a week ago. I forget. My father started planting them, so. But what you can do is you can take an egg carton, fill it with some dirt, and put the seeds in each little section of the dirt, and start growing your sprouts. Do that inside where it's nice and warm, and you don't have to worry about them, and you can water them a little bit. And don't overwater them, but water them, and then get your sprouts going, and then a couple of weeks you get them outside when the sprouts are fairly hardy, and you can plant them, and hopefully you'll get a little garden going and have some tomatoes for the coming months. Might be really important, whether you're growing tomatoes or onions or whatever. Tomatoes are best, I think, unless you can't eat them, or you're allergic, or you hate them. Tomatoes grow really fast in New Jersey. They're some of the best. I really can't beat them. I love tomatoes, Jersey tomatoes. I got a high bar for tomatoes. But peppers grow pretty well. Watermelons, stuff like that. Oh my gosh, watermelons, they'll grow everywhere. So now's the time to think about planting a garden. Start planting it. Get online. Read. I don't have all the information off the top of my head, but now is the time. Now is the time to start thinking about your garden. And if you got to grow things from the ground up, like I said, get the sprouts going inside sooner rather than later. But if you're a piney, you probably already know this information. You're probably like saying, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm all way ahead of you. But good luck, Pineys. Stay safe out there. Little Joan says hello.